You are watching our business focus here on the Big Biz Show, right here at Loft 100 Studios in Carlsbad, California. I am Mary Burt Godwin, and I am joined by a friend of the program, Alan Evans, our buddy. He is the CEO of Unusual Machines, ticker symbol UMAC. This guy, Alan, we love having you here, and I just love having you in studio. This is so fun.
Yeah, it's great.
And you're going to be at the bar talking with Sully and Mike and everyone later, but I like to have this one-on-one time with you because, well, first of all, this is such an amazing business that you are involved with, and this is an industry that's not going anywhere. It's just kind of in the infancy, wouldn't you say? How long has it been around? When was the first drone made?
Oh man, the RC planes that people used to fly,
Yeah.
60s or 70s.
Okay.
So it's been sort of bubbling for a very long time. In the same way you'd say like AI's been around since the 60s, but
Right.
it's just really turning on now. So
Right.
drones domestically are just in that final like, oh, it's actually happening phase.
Actually happening. And it's happening everywhere, kind of like AI, where it's like, it's blowing up and it's growing exponentially. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's everywhere all at once. I
Yes.
think for AI, for a lot of these things, it's unfortunate that sometimes conflict really accelerates this.
True.
And the conflict in Ukraine has just
Really?
accelerated sort of, I think, the awareness of drones and the technologies for drones, and then people realizing they better do something with drones.
You know, I don't know why this just came into my head. Maybe because you mentioned Ukraine, and you know, with everything that starts, it's like with good intention, typically, but then a lot of times it's weaponized. But do you think it's like, I want to believe in the good, all the good uses for it, but I mean, I guess it is wartime, so then it depends on whose side you're on. Is it good or not?
Yeah, I think really if, like, war sucks, we can agree. But if you abstract it away, in conflict, people are willing to take risk. And so technology jumps occur in these periods where people are incentivized to take risk.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's awesome. So if you look, I flew here on an airplane,
Yep.
on a jet, actually. Jet technology was developed during World War II. By 1970, it was everywhere.
Right.
Jets are generally good,
Good thing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I see the same outcome
I feel like
here.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because last time you were here, I believe you mentioned something about groceries potentially being dropped off and then maybe some fast food. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm like, can I have my dinner just come to my home via drone?
Yeah, or medicine or whatever else. And then recently, you know, you look at all the things that were being said out there, it's coming. It's coming fast.
Okay, so, and I know that some people in the government, Hegseth and maybe Duffy,
Yep.
I heard this phrase, they want to, this was quote unquote, unleash drone dominance
Yeah.
for America.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we are. So that means the Unusual Machines is right in the right place at the right time, right?
I think so. We do parts. And
Yeah.
in all these things, when all these industries show up, it's really easy to forget about the parts vendor. But all companies need them, and there aren't too many parts vendors.
But this is fascinating because you'd think, or I would think maybe there's 5 parts in a drone. But what is it more like? It's
Oh, thousands.
Thousands,
It's like
right?
a phone, thousands of parts.
And do you make all of them with Unusual Machines?
For certain types of drones, yes.
Okay.
We sit in the value side. So if you think about like a drone like a car, we do the stuff like the axles and the tires and,
Okay.
you know, like the kind of the mechanical, we're really good
Make
at
'em
that.
run.
Yeah, and then we
yeah.
do like the budget car.
Okay.
So we're not the Lexus, you know, we're more like the Corolla. We make all the parts
Okay,
for the Corolla.
but I mean, those are very important.
Yes.
I mean, everyone needs those. Now, do you guys do the designing of the parts in-house?
So our customers are the final drone company, like the final car company. They'll come to us and we'll do parts design, but mostly to be sure that they get what they need.
But this is a busy time of year for you right now, right?
Oh, this has been, right now is the busiest time that there'll probably ever be in the history of the company for the
Okay,
number of
wow.
people. Because the government delayed a budget for so long. And they're the real driver of the business right now. So we're in this window where all the government money is being spent in September, and then the new budget unlocks in October. And all our customers that make the drones,
And they're all
going
calling
to
it
try
in.
to win this money. But before that, they need demos.
Right.
Right? You can't be like, oh, buy this drone that doesn't exist. So they buy 10 of them, and then we keep trying to help them make their parts. So
Okay.
it's been great.
Well, Alan, I know that Sully and Mike are going to have way more questions for you, so stick around. And everyone at home, thank you for watching. Stick around for more with Alan Evans and more with the Big Biz Show right after this.
Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
We are inside the Loft 100 Studios as the Big Biz Show rolls on. Hope everyone's having a great day. As always, we thank you for being along for this crazy ride. They always are. Of course, that is the day trader Quattro. No lessons, self-taught, best in the business. Back here at the bar, it's Costa. It is Burt Godwin. And of course, it's Sully. Hey. Hey. Well, look who's here. Howie Font, our analyst from New York City, is talking to us about perhaps what we're calling a jury-rigged economy. Oh no! There's a big uproar in terms of the U.S. taking a 10% stake in Intel that we talked about last week, but the government has propped up the economy in a number of ways, and we're the least dirty shirt in the hamper when it comes to something called quantitative easing, and that is buying our own bonds, realizing the gains, and using the money to run the government, which also props up the economy, because what percentage of the U.S. population works for the government? I don't know, maybe 40%, something like that. Howie, how are you, bud? Talk about that economy.
What a great intro. No, that's exactly right. And I wanted to talk about this because it's been so in the news that we're getting a 10% stake in Intel, but we've kind of been doing stuff like that. Okay, it's bonds, not equity, but we've been doing this for 10 years now, since the great financial crisis.
And just so you guys understand, bonds means the government is asking you to invest in money that they're borrowing. Okay, so in other words, they have a debt. Okay, you want a piece of that debt? I'll take a chunk of that.
I just learned about this with municipal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, because typically you don't have enough, banks don't have enough money to put out there to loan to build a freeway, so the government puts out a municipal bond. I'm borrowing the money from you, but we're going to pay you back a coupon or interest rate on it. What's interesting is because there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and bonds and such. And if you look at all of these bond yield curves and go to predict the stock market, the government sort of has to prop up the economy sometimes, Howie. I sort of feel that's what governments have to do, right? Or not?
I mean, that's what it's had to do for the last decade or so. But what I find interesting is, you said it exactly right, but it's even broader. The government, starting in 2008 with the QE, the quantitative easing, they just go out and buy, not U.S. Treasuries. That would be one thing if they were just buying U.S. debt or something. Quantitative easing is, let me go buy Ford's bonds. Let me go buy J.P. Morgan's bonds. Let me go and
realize the gain.
I will take the bond out of the market. I will raise the price of the bond, because the more buying than selling raises the price, as longtime viewers know. And then there's more money in the system because you traded the bond for money, and so the holder of that bond now has cash to spend.
Howie, but is this like stimulus checks? Is it when the government was bailing out banks, or they were bailing out the automotive sector, that big tech, that type of thing?
That's
money flow.
Mike, no, please.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
I was just going to say that's money flow. That's dumping money into the economy that didn't really belong there. Now, and the inverse, the relation with that is, and you can go back to what, Howie? I think you gave me a graph one time that goes back to 1940. Ugh. Every time we shove money in the economy through stimulus, what happens right after? Yep. Interest rates go through the roof. And what happened this last time? Well, they're just transitory. Clearly, your 8% mortgage right now is not transitory. Howie, I'll let you answer that question though. It's a complicated one, but I'll tell you, it's an eye opener.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to talk about and just mention, because what it does, Mike, is it's a stimulus check for people that own assets. Okay, so in 2008, if you owned assets, you were fine because they didn't inflate the amount of Apple shares. They inflated the amount of dollars. So your Apple shares still worth the same amount as it was before, but the dollar price might have increased. And then you've got people bidding up the price, the government coming in and saying, I'll buy it. And so if you want to compete with the government, you have to raise your bid. And so we're pushing up both equities and fixed income bonds. And it made the rich richer, essentially. So that's what this policy is. And we've been using the federal government's full faith and credit and the Fed's balance sheet at the same time. So that's what I'm kind of.
That's a stale, tired, faded poster on my wall. Full faith and credit of the U.S. government. I think if you think in terms of a pie for equity ownership in a company, there's only so many pieces of pie. Mm-hmm. The more investors that you have, the smaller your piece of pie is going to get. Think of the same thing as the U.S. dollar. Or the U.S. economy. There's a certain amount of dollars which gives us strength in terms of interest rates, strength in terms of spending power. You just shove more dollars in, what's going to happen? It gets diluted just like the pie does, your equity does. And that's the bonds versus equity. The last time we did this was because there was a government surplus.
But there's a separate dimension. So the Fed does QE, and that's what we were just talking
quantitative
about.
Easing.
What's quantitative easing? That's right. And the Treasury Department now has been doing something that it hasn't done since we had surplus, and that is buying back our short-term debt. So they'll buy bonds that are not trading that well, that are lowering the yield curve, and you see the growth. This is
which is a manipulation for the market, which is not a bad thing.
It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but the fact that we're doing it to prop up the market instead of pay down our debt is what's a little bit concerning, because people use these treasury markets to run the economy. I mean,
Howie, to your point,
we make all investment decisions based off of an interest rate.
It's play the videotape out to the end. To what end? We don't know the end yet, right? It's like the derivative market right now. At some point, there's going to be look at economies are elastic, but they're not completely elastic. At some point, something's going to break here, and I think people say, well, why? And why are we going in buying back bonds? Because the government makes money at it. And what do they do with that money? They run the government at the same time. They prop the economy up. Now look, it is not nefarious. It's not some snidely whiplash guy. It's a way for us to pad the balance sheet of what's going to happen next. It's just like every time we have a sundown provision that we or the budget talks at the end of the year, they have to kick the can down the road one more time. We're not going to have a balanced budget. So nobody's going to get a paycheck, so on and so forth. This is sort of the same thing. My question for you, Howie, is, if you have a stable treasury market, if you have a credible Fed, whose job is number one is to keep interest rates down, employment up, and prices stable.
Dubious propositions, but
right. However, what would happen if we stopped completely? Look, and by the way, every country does quantitative easing.
Right.
As I said, we're the least dirty shirt in the hamper. But if we just let the free market economy roll, it would be devastating to the banking system. And even more, it would collapse the world economy if they took everything out and just let the dice roll where they fall.
Oh, my God.
You kind of have to.
For a while, breaking the addiction is hard.
And
sure.
then,
Hair of the dog feels nice.
Right. And then we would be full cryptocurrency
we can let this thing. Yeah. I mean, it would take like years. It would take, Reagan and Volcker famously broke the back of inflation in the 80s, and it took a recession. How high did interest rates go back then? People were paying for like 16% mortgages.
Yeah, that's right.
Insanity.
Yeah. Into Carter's era. You're exactly right. Paul Volcker though was let's face it, we haven't had. Ben Bernanke was no right. I mean, we haven't had someone like that in the ear of the president since maybe Alan Greenspan, I guess. So it's going to take somebody that is not at odds with the president. It's going to take somebody that can understand that, Look, you can only hold up a derivative market like you can only hold up a mortgage market. Remember the mortgage-backed crisis of 2006 or 7?
Oh, yes.
Which I call the Great Correction. Everybody else called the Great Recession. It's going to take something like that to sort of make us look around. But then again, you can get a loan now in mortgages by just fogging up.
I just wanted to bring it up because it might be an interesting failure point. You know, where you said the market will eventually snap. I'm thinking about that all the time and seeing,
which we don't really know where Howie is, by the way, right now. With things in New York, he could be in a bunker somewhere waiting for
He could be up on a satellite space station.
He has some new hair products.
He's in town in a couple weeks.
Lex Luthor and I are working on transferring the hair thing. Anti-gravity.
Howie Font, Big Biz Show market analyst. We are smarter after he talks. All right, lots more to come. Keep it right here. Big Biz Show continues. Wherever you are listening, the Big Biz Show rolls on. We're live inside the Loft 100 studios in sunny Southern California. That is the incredibly talented day trader trio. No lessons, self-taught. Best in the business. Back here at the bar, it is Costa, it is Burt Godwin, and of course it's Sully.
And of course it's 90 million television homes across the country. Yes, we lost American Life Network. They were sold somewhere, but apparently we're going to be on DirecTV very soon. Not to mention awesome. American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. God bless our military men and men for serving our country overseas and underway.
Always.
BizShow.com. All right, here in San Diego, where we broadcast from, we are known as a smart city and as the immunotherapy city because of course, our biotech and biopharma.
It says it on the sign when you walk in.
Exactly right. And we were alerted of this next guest from someone who said you need to talk to these folks who really shifted its focus from consumer health devices to immunotherapeutics. And I thought, well, they're pretty good for the show, especially since we just had Joe Cocker on before us, and from we have Occupy Wall Street afterwards. We'll just shove her in between the two of them. There you go. Michael, who do you got?
She is Jennifer Ernst, co-founder, CEO, Tivic Health. Of course, their ticker symbol, TIV as in victory, C as in Charlie. Jennifer, welcome to the Big Biz Show. How's life treating you?
It's great, thank you.
She had no idea what she was getting into, first of all.
No.
She started.
You can hear the shock in her voice right now.
You know, I have to say, so in conducting my copious amounts of due diligence on this, and in the 24 hours since I met you, the first thing on your website said a new way to treat congestion. Talk about this, because I think what's interesting is when you see Johnny Lunchbucket and Cindy CEO see some sort of a therapy that's coming out that affects literally everybody on the planet in some way or another. Obviously, there's some very serious cases of this. You have to pay attention. Talk to us about what you guys are doing.
Okay, well, let me back up a little bit, because you're talking about immunotherapeutics. What you see live on our website right now is a product we have available for treating sinus congestion, the sinus pain, the kinds of things associated with allergic reactions. That's an immune response. Now, as a company, we have a much broader portfolio. What we have invested in, got a first commercial consumer product out there right now. It's available on our website. Anyone with sinus issues, I encourage you to go take a look, because it is a really cool drug-free way of managing that immune response you get with allergies. Now, you mentioned at the start of the show, though, we've been taking an aggressive stand in broadening our approach to immunotherapeutics. And that is basically about harnessing the immune system, whether to restore health or save lives. And earlier this year, I had an opportunity. We've brought in some new assets into the company. A protein-based compound that we brought in. It's a phase 3 compound we brought into the company that is treating acute radiation syndrome and the side effects of acute radiation syndrome, as well as holds some tremendous promise as a cancer therapeutic.
Wow.
So as a company, we have looked at the immune system from two angles. One of them is when the immune system gets really hyperactive and you want to calm it down, and that's what happens with allergies. The other is when the immune system gets very compromised and you want to bring it back up and jack the performance of the immune system back up again. And that's what we're doing with this new program called Intelamod. It's an area that we aren't yet known for, but you'll start to see a lot more announcements coming out. And I'm thrilled to say we've talked to the White House, DARPA, BARDA, the organizations have put a ton of funding behind this. So now as a company, we have both the method to attack the electrical and the chemical properties of the body from both angles.
Hey, Jennifer, real quickly, was the transformation due to wanting to have an enterprise-wide solution for this and not just focusing on one lane? What was the cost? Was that sort of you took a 50,000 foot view versus a 45,000 foot view and thought, you know what, it's better if we kind of tackle this in both areas?
It is, and also we had started a program about 2 years ago with Northwell Health out of New York, out of their Feinstein Institutes, on focusing on using our knowledge of the electrical properties of the body, where we can manage the immune system through the electrical signals and do it non-invasively. That's basically what ClearUp is a device you can use on the outside of the body to regulate an immune response. We had started a program on vagus nerve stimulation, which was taking us very much into advanced medical applications, more in areas like chronic heart disease, autoimmune disease. So this particular, the biopharmaceutical compound, we also recognized most of the industry has ignored the electrical side, but I didn't want us to be ignoring the chemical or the pharmaceutical side. Sure. So bringing those two together, I think we're probably unique.
Well, yeah, biopharma at the same time, you don't see every day, right?
Jennifer Ernst is the co-founder, CEO of Tivic Health, ticker symbol TIVC. So Jennifer, is it, from very simple layman's terms with me, is it just kind of lassoing your immune system and kind of reschooling it and getting it back in order?
You know what? That is a great description.
No, don't say that. You can have it. Possibly say that.
You can use it in your literature, your website, wherever you want to go.
This is the next 6 weeks is going to be this. And we're going to have Jennifer back on, and now you're his favorite guest, and on and on and on. Okay.
Go on.
Guarantees you'll bring me back.
Go on, co-founder, CEO.
It's exactly what you said. It's about tuning it. It's about being able to manipulate the signals, whether they're coming from the chemical part or the electrical part, to tune those signals and get them into alignment, and to direct them at what you want to do. If you want to get the immune system up and spitting out a lot more chemicals out of the body in response to immune system, that's what some of our protein compounds can do.
But you're covering a huge addressable market here, and I read, and I want to, and we need to have you back definitely because I want to delve into some of this stuff. Yeah. But I read about you folks securing White House briefings and FDA meetings centered on military and defense applications. Talk about that. We're a military town. We're an American Forces Network Services. As a broadcaster, that's always something that we're interested in. Tell us how that's going to be deployed, to use military parlance.
Okay. So right now, the military, if they're encountering dirty bombs, radiation, if they're going into areas where radiation has been present and they're unprotected, there's nothing out there that's prophylactic. So there's nothing out there that can protect you when you're going into those zones, and there's really nothing that can repair the GI tract. So there are some treatments out there for radiation exposure. They will help repair bone marrow. They will help increase. There's a specific type of cell called the neutrophil production. So it increases the neutrophil production, helps prevent infections, helps prevent those opportunistic infections. But when you're talking about ionizing radiation, when you're talking about very severe exposure levels, you need to get somebody. We need to get them treated immediately. Within 24 hours, 48 hours, the side effects of that radiation exposure start to show up in significant measures, in life-threatening ways. So the reason that BARDA and White House and defense agencies have been very, very interested in moving this drug forward with us is because it has these two measures. I said we have a GI tract, help repairing the intestinal areas, the part of the body that has to digest and actually consume the food and nourish our bodies. It helps repair the bone marrow, helps increase neutrophil production, and then the protective measures. So working with them to take work that has been done, as I said, at least 140 million previously invested in this drug, much of that from those defense agencies, and to move that forward. And then the next stage we will really love to see is taking this forward into an oral formulation. so that we were able to actually get this basically in the pocket of the soldiers, any place anyone is serving. Wow. I mean, that would be my ultimate goal for this.
You're flying down to San Diego next week, sister.
Yeah,
we need you in San Diego to talk about this on the air.
She is Jennifer Ernst, co-founder, CEO, Tivic Health. TIVC is her ticker symbol. And Jennifer, if you need my professional headshot for your literature going forward, I will send you one. Thank you so much.
Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
It is the Big Biz Show. As always, wherever you're watching, wherever you are listening, we appreciate you being along for this crazy ride. Those crazy guys on stage, date, trader, trio, best in the business, and we get to listen to them every single day. Especially that beautiful man right there is James East. Back here at the bar, it is Costa, it is Burt Godwin, and it is Sully.
Thank you, everyone. The American Forces Network is now carrying us on television and radio in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Thanks to you guys. Not to mention our folks at BizTV, and looks like we're going to be on DirecTV pretty soon, so you can't escape us. Even though you try to change the channel, there we still are.
We're the new Red Zone. I love it.
We have a guest that comes on. The name of the company is SunOpta. They're kind of a ConAgra. They're sort of a manufacturer of food products for other companies.
Yep.
And since Mike has a penchant for Funyuns, they made him Funyun almond milk, and now they made him chili cheese Frito flavored almond milk. And I was told this morning it is on the way here now.
Oh, wow.
You'll have it by tomorrow.
So those of you who doubt a higher bean, I give you that. Okay, I give you that.
Speaking of higher beans, who's sitting next to you?
Alan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines. He has quickly become one of our favorite guests for a number of reasons, some which we can actually talk about on the show. Of course, their ticker symbol is UMAC, a website, unusualmachines.com. How are you, Mr. E?
I'm doing all right. We're just getting into the whole government cycle right now, so it's been busy. It's great.
Good busy? I mean,
so the government spent forever to pass the budget, and now the end of the year for the government is the end of September. So everybody's in a rush to spend the money.
Love it.
Right. And so our customers are really busy trying to get the money, and then we're trying to sweet talk them so they buy stuff from us.
You know what's interesting too is, and we've got Wall Street season starts next week too, and that's as a CEO of a publicly traded company, what that means is there's certain groups, Roth Capital, H.C. Wainwright, Streeterville, J.P. Morgan, gets together and has
Bernie Madoff.
No, not Bernie Madoff.
It was a different.
The name that now shall not be uttered.
Sorry.
But they do these events whereby investors meet companies, and it's usually for merger acquisition, capital formation, or just plain retail support and getting support of the stock. Do you find yourself, because you're in the parts business?
Yep.
Okay. And you are, parts business means you have to travel everywhere. And I mean, with the suitcase full of chocolates from remember the Walk in the Clouds movie, and you're showing your different parts. But at the same time, as a CEO of a public company, you have to go out there and you got to do the dance also with the investment bankers, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's not you can't have, you need to be there. You can hire salespeople.
Yeah.
And you can go in and close and stuff, but you have to be there for the investment banking stuff, correct?
100%. So we have salespeople at the commercial UAV Expo right now in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right, it's ongoing. I don't have to be there, but for investors, especially if you're not Apple, right? They're betting on you not screwing it up.
Yeah,
and so they kind of want to know and ask you questions.
Right.
It's like almost like poke. Is it real?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially in this world where everybody sort of is trying to figure out authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. With AI and everything else.
Right.
True.
I think with all of it, there's a lot of.
Yeah. What's real and what's not
Well,
real?
but I have to say, and we rarely talk about numbers and share prices on this program, but I mean, you've done a really credible job of telling folks what is going to happen before it happens, and of course your market cap has seen a benefit of that. But also, you have no debt, you have a very low cash burn, you got a 2-year plus cash runway. When those questions can't be that difficult coming at you, can they? Or when you hear things like tariffs and government intervention and stuff, does that make it more difficult?
You know, there's a lot of uncertainty, and really the questions I try to answer, there's not the desperation, right? There's not like you got to go out and be like, oh, I really need this money. We're fine.
Yeah, because look, you're not the biotech sector.
Right.
Right, because biotech, biopharma has had a hell of a 2.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of raising capital. So you're not in that game, yet you still need their support.
Yeah, like if you're going to do this long term and you're going to grow into an industry, you know, drones are just starting.
I was going to say, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you don't tell the story and you don't engage with people, they can't start to understand when you're right and when you're wrong. They can't build trust.
Yeah.
Like somebody's not just like, oh, here's $100 million. Right? Like your cousin comes out of the blue and it's like,
oh, I don't know, that chili.
Loan me $1 million to run a grocery store.
It's going to be awesome.
That chili cheese almond milk might be the $100 million check you're looking for, big fella.
Well, you know, let's talk about that.
Okay.
But so it's really building that trust for the 5-year, the 10-year, the whole thing. And the only way to do it is to put it out there. I can't be like, well, maybe A and B will both happen. I got to be like, I think this.
Yeah. Sure. Well, you've been good at saying I think this, and then it happens. What's interesting is this is an industry, to Mary's point, that is relatively new, which means that there's going to be a change in this industry. I always say this. The best and worst time for a young company, not this type of company, but it's like a young company, is when you're in this emerging market until you hit $10 million in sales, and then you're out of money because you don't have enough money to manufacture the stuff that you just got sales for. Okay, you're beyond that now, but now you're still in an emerging market, which means that there's either going to be a consolidation or a growth spurt, which is both good for you, I would argue, or is there some scary stuff there for you?
I think for us, I generally think it's positive because we're honest about it. There's like 200 drone companies right now. In 5 years, there's going to be like 5. And so
this is like the .com bubble turning into who's going to be left, but who's left is going to be really strong.
Yeah, like Amazon, Google, like think of the people that came out of the .com bubble. They're monsters now, but
And they're going to swoop up all the others.
yeah, you'll see people merge,
Yeah.
but not all the others. And so what happens is like half of them are going to wither and die because they're not going to be part of it.
So here's my question. So half of your customers, and they're not all your customers, say the customer base shrinks, but the market cap, I mean, the addressable market's still the same. That probably won't affect you because you'll just be dealing with less guys, or is there more competition for the fewer guys?
Oh, it's even better. So if you go from 200 customers to 50, the market cap actually gets bigger because they're doing more.
Okay.
You have to make fewer SKUs. You have to deal with fewer like people calling being like, oh, I really want 10 of them, and then they're all super cranky. They tend to be better capitalized, so payment terms get better. So for us as a supplier in it, it becomes much cleaner, much less Wild West. Where right now, you know, when you don't know who wins, and we have no idea, like we have favorites, I'm not going to tell you who they are. I could be wrong about it.
Yeah.
But you go out, you try to serve everybody. You know, making 1,000 motors or making 10,000 motors is just running the machines longer. But getting somebody to commit or qualify it, that's where all the work is.
Alan Evans is the CEO of Unusual Machines. Ticker symbol is UMAC. Are you afraid of I was watching the China military parade the other day, and I swear to God, one of their...
Was there what Beverly Hillbilly reruns were not on TV?
Yeah, they just went off the air.
China military parade?
Did you see, by the way, did you see the cover of the New York Times today? The picture of the Chinese military parade?
No.
Where I swear to you, if you should look it up, and maybe Matt back there in the control room or Chris Castillo could look it up, the photograph of the female soldiers looks AI, and it's not, which is just scary.
Clones?
Well, I'm telling you. I mean, the crease of their britches was even like the same. Not that I was looking at their.
But I'm looking at a picture of one of their drones in the parade, and it looks exactly like the Predator drone that, coincidentally enough, my late father-in-law developed for General Atomics and ASI. And I'm thinking, are you worried about someone getting hold of your stuff and doing the same thing, or?
No, China's ahead of us. We're trying to displace a Chinese supply chain where they already make stuff better and cheaper than we do.
Okay.
If you look at the Chinese
Yeah, because you guys are a pure play U.S. component company. I mean,
we're a pure play non-Chinese component.
Right. Okay, there you go. But still.
Yeah, 100%. But the Chinese are ahead in robotics.
How dare they?
Anybody who doesn't say otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just lying.
All right, hang on a second. Because when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what that sort of looks like, because you've been talking for the last 3-4 months. We've been talking about when this budget passes. Budgets are here now.
They are.
And tariffs have calmed down. I want to see the lay of the land here. His name?
Alan Evans. He is the CEO, Unusual Machines. It's a company, UMAC, their ticker symbol. Do not go anywhere. Much more with him after this.
Great.
Yeah, they're awesome.
That's just not there. Got that quality. You're like, oh yeah, background music's amazing and everything.
Yeah. In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea. You can hear us and see us on the American Forces Radio and TV network. As always, shout out to our brave men and women who guard our wall 24/7. That's the Day Trader Quattro right up there on stage. Of course, back here at the bar, it is Costa, it's Burt Godwin, and it is Sully, and it is one of our favorite guests in studio, Mr. Alan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines, UMAC ticker symbol.
I want to bring you back to not such a great time when we first interviewed you, which was a great interview, but it was tariff time.
Yeah.
And look at the tariff issue for you as a parts manufacturer. Man, that was I'm not going to suggest it was a scary time, but boy, that was the time you had to pivot as fast as the decisions were coming. Bring us forward now. How did it shake out now the dust has somewhat settled there?
Well, first, my team did an amazing job. So this is not me at all. It's the people who I get to work with.
This is like the thing. I keep on bringing up Bill Burr. Remember Bill Burr talking about he's not that impressed with Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
He goes, well, I'm not that impressed. He goes, well, how could you not be impressed with Steve Jobs? He goes, hey, I want a device that plays all my music. I can make phone calls. Go.
Yeah.
Make it.
Yeah.
Go make it. Come back.
Yeah. So they made it.
Yeah.
So credit where it is. And I'm going to tell you their story.
Yeah.
A lot of reaction, a lot of time putting it out there. But because of it now, we settled into the Chinese tariffs at about 30%. Mm-hmm. So we saw margin improvement last quarter, coming out of it, and it's stabilized there. So you're seeing the world stabilize a little bit. Another one that is completely sort of ignored in this whole thing is the de minimis exemption cancellation.
Yeah.
Which is, it used to be like you do Timo or Shine or whatever, and they could ship anything in, and you wouldn't pay tariffs on anything under $800.
Right.
So that was super nasty to our retail channel because people would go order stuff at $500 or $600. And so that exemption going away actually really helped our consumer business.
Yeah, sure.
Be more competitive. But I think that's a surprise where everybody sees it otherwise. But the stabilization now puts us in a place where we're moving more to the U.S. than we thought because the tariff change makes it better for us and for our customers to manufacture.
When you see news like that happen back then, and I didn't get a chance to ask you this back then, but do you respond or do you react, or is it both? Because reactionary, I think is necessary sometimes, but if you go too fast, you guys could have missed all that margin potential, correct?
We expected some tariff to stick around. So you got to be reactionary, and we always guessed that it would end at 20%. Because we always said, okay, we think we can be up to 20% more than the Chinese stuff to be competitive. It ended at 30%. So we guessed a little wrong.
Yeah,
but in our favor.
It's a rounding error in terms of overall revenue model and, of course, earnings when they come out at the end of the day, especially with this new budget coming out. I think most people are going to say, what's going to happen at the end of Q4? So talk about the Pentagon. Talk about the budget deal. Talk about everything that's going on in Washington right now as it
yeah.
to how you guys are planning and replanning.
Well, and this, I'd say, is the whole defense sector, the whole government sector. The budget came along super late this year. And so then imagine you're in the government. It's not like the government just has one person who writes all the checks. It goes all down to like each department and division.
Yeah.
That's gone through, but then they have to get permission to write the checks so that they're not just buying your chili cheese almond milk. We'll talk about that later. But, there's some anti-corruption stuff that they got to go in and do.
Sure.
And so now you're seeing everybody try to rush this money out before the next budget fight. So you're about to see the start domestically and in this cycle of people are calling like a defense super cycle that really leans toward drones, where they expect military modernization budgets to occur over the next 2 or 3 years in the U.S. and in
Did
Europe.
Doge hamper you guys help you guys? You talked about cutting out the corruption and all the...
So Doge, coupled with the government sort of not having a budget, iced out anybody who was defense. Because think about it, you're a procurement person in the government, you don't have a budget, and if you write a check, you might get fired.
Right. Yeah.
So you're just going to sit there and you're slow roll everything until it all goes through.
You're going to sit on your hands till they go numb and then shake them.
You talked
about, and that's what happened.
What's interesting, you talk about an emerging market and a new sort of industry, and you talk about your team. You guys just hired what they are calling a veteran drone executive, and you put a release out on that. You have a veteran. How do you have a veteran drone executive when when this industry's only been around 20 years? That's pretty good.
Yeah,
you found the one guy or a couple guys, but seriously, this new appointment is pretty impressive for enterprise sales for you guys.
It's been weird. Like, since it's all worked out, we get a ton of inbound, like super qualified candidates that like what we're doing, because in a world where you can't pick the winning drone company, you can pick the only parts company.
Yeah.
And, he worked at one of the carriers in the UK, and he sold SIM cards to drone companies. So he sold parts. And you're like, well, yeah. And then for us, if you're a parts vendor, it's only 50 people. Yeah. That's your whole world. Like, there's 50 buyers out there. And so if you know them, you can go in and talk to them and be like, what are your problems? Let's fix them. Right? That's what the sales process looks like for a parts vendor. It's not the same as consumer, where it's ad spend and any of that.
Right, but still, though, when you look at this federal budget and the large purchase of large drones, that changes the face of maybe what you planned a year ago, right? I mean, is this going to change? You knew it was coming, but in terms of how this is going to benefit the business, that's going to turn you guys into a juggernaut here, based upon what the spend is for large drones for the military, correct?
It's going faster than I thought, and I think there's another thing in there that the Transportation Secretary Duffy just came out with drone dominance domestically, where they're enabling what's called BVLOS, which is beyond visual line of sight, and they're really speeding that up, and that's your Chipotle burrito delivery.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that.
Why is he looking at me?
He's pointing to the right guy.
This is my family. We DoorDash Chipotle often.
We talked about this today, how the burritos will be delivered on your doorstep here within the corner by drone.
I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Are some grocery stores doing this? Like Walmart's doing
they're starting. Walmart's doing it a whole bunch. DoorDash is doing it.
Yeah, we need burritos.
Amazon's doing it.
Other than that, what are you most excited about in the next 18 months? In so much that you can disclose as a public company, but what are you focusing on next, and what's the future's so bright you got to wear shades moment for you guys?
Well, I'm really excited to get through the next couple of months and see where it all lands.
Yeah.
Like right now is the really high uncertainty into the outcome.
Yep.
I'm excited in seeing what the orders are over the next couple of months and actually being able to plan. We're turning on the motor factory. I just walked through it before, and pretty excited to see that start kicking out stuff. And it's been great. We're hiring a bunch of people to build stuff in the States again. And I grew up in Michigan. And I remember the whole collapse kind of the auto industry. And it's really cool to be on the other side of that.
Exactly right.
That is awesome.
His name is what? What did he say to me? He finished our whole show for us.
He did. And I'm glad he did. Alan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines.
Founding investor of chili cheese.
That's right. Almond milk. Coming to your house via drone shortly. Unusualmachines.com is a website. Ticker is UMAC. And that will do it for this edition of the Big Biz Show. As always, everybody out there, thank you for being along for the ride. We'll see you next time.